It's a great day to you out there. You're welcome again to Talk Point on Lagos Television. My name is Omololu Osonwu. Development can only come when the leaders and the led play their own parts very well. Oftentimes, accusing fingers are always pointed at public officials, the electorate, without minding what also the electorate to do as issues when development comes up. They also have their own roles to play, but oftentimes it is always the leaders that are always attacked of not doing what is right. What is the role of also the led in the society? Today I have a guest in the studio that will be discussing that with me. We'll be talking on governance and development. Is Olalekan Oni. Lekon, nice to have you on Top Point.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, see, the development is synonymous with governance. And
Yes.
if we look at example of the United States of America that clocked 250 years of independence, Nigeria is barely just 65 years of independence and thereabout. Now, but in looking at that, are there lessons that we can learn in terms of governance from developed countries like America, Britain, and others?
Well, you see, one of the things I like your introductory speech where you talk about the leaders and those being led, and the truth of the matter is that there is no way we can achieve development when we only point accusing fingers to leaders. I also, of the opinion that our leaders did not fall from heaven. Our leaders are people within our society who were just uplifted or upgraded to become leaders. So if you are going to achieve any form of development, in any country, and as it is in those developed countries, as it is those countries that you just mentioned, and countries that we can point to and say that this particular country have achieved some level of development, it is the responsibility of those who are leading and those that are being led. Every part, both parties have a responsibility, and those parties must ensure that they play their roles at all times. And that's when we can say that development can be achieved. Let me give an example. In recent times, people have been talking about, and that's how it has always been every year, people have been talking about environmental nuisance in Lagos. People have been talking about, we are in the rainy season, and we've also talked about floods in everywhere and everything. We've seen what the Ministry of Environment, led by Tokunbo Wahab, have been doing. And we've also seen that, yes, Tokunbo Wahab, and we've seen what the citizens have been doing. In fact, it took Loma to have something called Loma Police. What Loma Police is doing is that if you dispose your refuse indiscriminately, they will arrest you. Now, we've also seen that in Lagos, for example. I'm using Lagos as an example because we're in Lagos, talking about those who are being led, playing their part. We've seen that when it is raining, people dump refuse in their gutters. And what majority of the complaints why we've been talking about flooding is that sewages are blocked, drainages are blocked. Who are the people putting refuse inside drainages? And this is why some of the causes of the floods that we're experiencing during this rainy season. So what I'm saying in essence is that for us to have a good society, for us to experience development, the led must play their part, and the leaders must as well play their part.
Okay, when you say the led must play their parts and the leaders must also play their parts, let me paint a picture now. Since you mentioned environment, I think we should also talk on that too. Now, look at the situation where the people are ready to dump their refuse with the PSP operators.
Yes.
And one way or the other, they do not find them. or possibly some of them do not even pay. They want to circumvent payments and stuff like that.
Yes.
Now, but institutions where they are not available to pick the refuse, and the refuse keeps heaping up virtually everywhere. What situation would you say they should go and dump it in the dump site, or the responsibility of the government and the PSP to make them work as it's being done now by the governor giving directive?
Okay, so in this case, in this scenario, you know, that means that when we have, because in recent times we also have such scenario that you just painted, whereby people have we have piled up refuse everywhere across the state. And we've also heard from the side of the refuse collectors, those who play in that industry, saying one or two things about refuse sites, dump sites are filled up and all of that. And so in such cases, that's when we will know that I am not going to exonerate the government from not playing its role sometimes, you know, but, you know, so government have also, and, you know, in like 1 or 2 weeks ago, when it comes to this environmental issue, we've seen that the government has also provided solutions to all of that. And the LOMA or refuse collectors, the PSP operators have also begun to live up to expectations. But where we are, so that means that the government at the time, you know, did not play their role well, or let's say the PSP operators or government inclusive. And then, but what we've had, this thing of citizens or residents dropping refuse in the gutter, or probably even from a vehicle, people throw out dirt and all of that, did not start today. It's not because it's not because PSP operators did not play their part. That's why a moving vehicle, you see a moving vehicle, people throw out dirt and all of that. But what we are saying is that people should take up their responsibilities. If we want to experience development, we all have a part to play, even when it comes to corruption. There was a video online whereby we saw a trader selling gari or so, you know, from the bucket, from the paint bucket he was using, something was under, and then he had to put it on it. And there was a video where we saw where the buyer, you know, exposed such trader. And so in all of these things, and we see all of this corruption, malpractices everywhere, and we say we are asking for development. We are asking for progress. If we are to progress in this country, and like I said earlier, every country where we have experienced development, where we can see development, every country where we have seen progress, every citizen, every leader has a huge role to play for us to achieve the development.
Yes, talking about everybody's responsibility, yes, we will not encourage anybody to dump waste on the road or possibly throw things out. Those are dirty habits, and we will not condone that also here at Lagos Television. But one thing is very clear. Everyone has roles to play.
Yes.
When everybody plays their roles very well, things
That's when we achieve
move
development.
forward. Let's also go to security. What lessons do you think we can pick? Because these days we see technology driving security.
Yes.
Now, and we see that happening in other climes of the society, in developed countries. How do you think we can tap into some of these things?
Well, I feel that the major responsibility of securing lives and properties as enshrined in the Constitution lies with the government. You know, the Constitution talks about the primary responsibility of the government. And when I say government, I mean government at all levels. So it has to do, is the responsibility of the federal government, the state, and the local government. So all tiers of government have a huge responsibility to play in that role, to secure lives and properties. But in this context, and with our discussion this afternoon, citizens also, you know, have a role to play. And, you know, when you talk about technology-driven, you know, securing and all of these things, and that's where intelligence gathering comes in. That's where, you know, the operations of the Nigeria Air Force or the security agencies also comes in ensuring that, you know, criminals are tracked down into their hidden places and all of that. And, you know, for some of us who have been following security reports and security happenings and what the military have been doing, their onslaught and all of this, we have seen that this technology and you know, innovations have been really deployed into, first of all, intelligence gathering, and secondly, onslaught on criminals. Now, to the citizens, again, while I also agree, and while everybody, even government itself agrees that the huge responsibility of securing lives and properties of Nigerians lies with them, we also know that even as citizens, we also have, roles to play. If you have been following the abduction that happened in Oyo State in Owerri local government, some of the breakthroughs the security agents have had and some of the arrests they've made, we've seen that it is even community people who are aiders of these abductors. Some of the arrests that have been made, we've seen Okada men, we've seen people who have been helping them to receive money into their accounts and also make some, transactions on their behalf. In Kogi, in many other states, we have seen that villagers and community peoples have been aiding abductors, have been aiding kidnappers, have been selling things to kidnappers and all of that. We've also seen that people have had, acted as couriers, taking food, fuel, and all of that. So for us to have adequate security, for the government to win this fight against banditry, against terrorism, against kidnappings in Nigeria, Nigerians, citizens, also have a role to play. How? Stop aiding these people. Okay. These people need fuel. They buy food. From reports, we've seen that they buy hard drugs and many other things. And we've also seen that some of the arrests that have been made are villagers, are community people who takes these things to them wherever their hideout is. So, and the truth of the matter is that when all of this supply stops, what it means is that these criminals will even run away from where they are because they are human beings. They must eat food. The majority of them uses motorcycles. The motorcycles must be fueled and many other things they do. And then we've also seen that social media wise, when you hype these people, I'm saying this, that when you hype them, you are giving them more morals. We've seen Nigerians sharing videos. We've seen Nigerians, dropping their account numbers for giveaway. And so when you hype all of these criminals and kidnappers, you are aiding them. They also are on the internet looking out for
some of those things.
And so when they see all of these things, you are encouraging them. But when we condemn them, they also feel condemned, and probably it's possible that some of them might have a change of mind. And that's where the citizen comes in, and that's where the role of Nigerians comes in, And again, we've seen where kidnappers in villages or terrorists, when they are arrested, people will say, we saw them while they were passing, but who did you report to? And that brings me to the fact that this security slang that says that when you see something, you say something. And so these are the roles that we can play. If we need development, if we need good governance, these are some of the roles that we can play as citizens.
Let me take you to the one you mentioned earlier. We of course, we know that there are three tiers of government.
Yes.
The federal government, the central government, the state governments, and also the local governments. Now, the local governments now have autonomy. They have financial autonomy. They have the leeway to do so many things.
Resources.
Yes, to further get to the grassroots, to make sure that more dividends of democracy, better development gets to the grassroots. Now, in looking at this, what is your own assessment in relation to the grassroots development?
Well, you see, when we talk about local government financial autonomy, it is not yet effective in almost 30 states, if not more.
But you'll agree with me that they have more money to work with.
Yeah,
now.
But the more money is not getting to the purse of the local government directly. So
how do you mean?
The governors have not allowed it. The last we heard about it in some states is that CBN asked for their, direct account details, or they should come and open an account with CBN so that the allocation can come directly to the purse of the local government. And many states, and I mean, if not more than 30 states, are yet to, effect that. But in states where we've seen this, we've seen real developments at the grassroots. For example, Lagos State local government and LCDAs are getting their money, and we've seen what they have been able to do with the money, even though there's room for improvement. But we can say largely that what that local government, and we've also seen in recent times, 2, 3 months or 4 months ago, we've also seen in Osun State, whereby the money is getting to the local government after the whole issue about local government crisis in Osun State. So their monies, the current council men are getting their money. And if you look at Osun, after then, we've seen real progress and development at the grassroots. The Osun local government chairman now takes on projects, road rehabilitation, grading of roads, and then just last week or 2 weeks ago, they presented 90 brand new e-locks to different security outfits, from the Nigeria Police to the Army to the NSCDC, and that's real progress, because when it comes to security, these security agents needs, mobilization, transport and all of that. And so they have also been extending financial help to all of this security. So when you have all of these things, local governments will play their roles very well in developing the grassroots.
Now, what can we also further borrow from developed countries to further ensure that we have better development in Lagos State or in Nigeria rather, and also in terms of democratic sustenance? What are the things we can borrow in terms of making things available to others?
Okay, so one of the things we can borrow, like we have said, majorly is accountability first on the part of the government and transparency. We see how government is being run in all of these countries that you have mentioned. We see how open they are to the people, accountability, transparency to the people. It's not just about running governments and the people does not know what is happening with their, we usually say that whatever funds the government has to do, whatever resources they have, is taxpayers' money, is the people's money. We've seen that there's accountability, there's transparency on the part of government abroad. Then on the part of the citizens, it's so amusing that Nigerians will go abroad and obey every law. When I mean every law, to the latter, to traffic laws, to obeying traffic lights. But unfortunately, when we get back to Nigeria here, everybody do as they like. And people have said that probably because in Nigeria we don't enforce our laws. And the truth of the matter is that from my own findings, from my own observation, I've seen that in Nigeria we have laws. We have good laws. But the problem is enforcement. And so people come back to Nigeria, after traveling abroad, come back to Nigeria and do not even obey laws.
So you're saying now that efforts should be made more in terms of implementation.
Yes.
Implementation.
And enforcement.
Having strong institutions.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Having strong institutions. And when people talk about strong institutions, what it means is that credible people behind the institutions. Credible people. People of integrity. People who are accountable behind the institutions. Because when you know that when you commit a crime or when you go against the law, you will pay for it. Look at abroad. People don't easily evade tax abroad. But same people who pay tax promptly abroad come to Nigeria and do not pay. And even when there is enforcement, they go to town.
Well, I want to believe that the new NRS law
yes.
will capture so many things. Yes, time is really not on our side. It's fast spent. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Olalekan Oni, for being part of Top Point.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, the numbers to always call is 767 and 112. And I want to implore everyone to always do what is right to ensure that Nigeria gets developed better. I am Omololu Rousseau. Bye for now.